Is friendship necessary prior to engaging in dating romantic relationships with someone you're interested in? Well, I think we might have a legitimate answer. Let's check it out.
Tell 'em I got the juice.
So, this video that's present in front of us is actually made like 6 years ago. I believe these two are married now and are giving some good advice on friendship prior to the dating relationship. If you guys want me to react to the most recent one that they made, giving more benefits to friendship before relationship, definitely hit the like button, comment. Let me know if you want me to react to that as well. So let's just see what happens here. This one, first one, she's speaking of there being no pressure.
Say you got into a relationship with the person, it's like you don't know anything about them. It's like, oh, I wonder what he did. Like, let me ask him this question. Let me ask him that question. And then you got like insecurities because you don't know certain things that you feel like you should know. If you were just in a regular, platonic relationship or friendship with them, you would know things as they come. You wouldn't feel any, sort of pressure to like find out certain things about them or certain things about their family or their past. Y'all are just chilling, y'all are friends, and it's coming at a gradual pace. This is our
Okay. So she's like, yo, at a friendship level, things come at a gradual pace. It's authentic, it's normal, it's part of conversation. It's not something that's forced or you feel as if you have to find and seek it out real heavily. Whereas in a dating relationship, if you were to forego kind of creating a friendship foundation, you kind of find yourself in the midst of the beginning of the relationship trying to figure out things that maybe would be benefited to find it out or being found out rather prior to.
If you're a friend of the person beforehand, you already know things about them that no one else knows. That's honestly the golden part, and that's the reward you get for being friends beforehand.
Yeah, just going off of that, you're kind of able to share certain things that you wouldn't necessarily share because if you were in a relationship with them because you feel like they may judge you for it. You don't have that fear of, oh, this person isn't going to like me anymore because they know this about me now. It's because if you guys are just friends and like you don't have that worry.
You don't have that worry at all. And another thing is you want to be able to.
Okay, so he's about to go into the second one. So they kind of add to it, hey, you don't have to be in fear of them not liking or even bouncing or being afraid that they're going to leave if you begin to share information that you may feel is more vulnerable, more open, transparent. And this is a beautiful thing about creating relationships too, platonic and romantic, whether the goal is romanticizing or just simply platonic. You do want to find some people and be connected, regardless of what level or stage the relationship is in, to have vulnerability, open honesty, and transparency in it. And I think one of the best ways, if you're struggling, and I've actually learned this over time just by doing it, with other people, as well as just hearing it from others as well in more seasoned relationships. But if you're someone who is struggling on trying to create that space with somebody that you're meeting, you're getting to know, you're building a friendship with, I definitely would suggest that you be the first to lead in that space. And as challenging as that might be, I think you learn a lot by being able to lead in that space and being the one to first be vulnerable in certain things. Start opening up and sharing some experiences, stories, thoughts, maybe even some feelings towards this person. And I do think that you can learn a lot too by asking questions in a manner that's open ended and it gives you an opportunity to see what they're going to say yes and no to. So things like, is it impossible for us to have deep conversations? Is it impossible for us to start sharing more thoughts towards maybe deeper issues or deeper conversation starters that we could have? Asking a lot of those questions in that manner, is it impossible? Do you see it in the future? These kinds of things, because I think you'll learn a lot based on how that person responds. You'll learn a lot by what they say no to, right? Just to kind of feel the pace, the space, the capacity for the relationship that you're carrying and creating. So I think I like this a lot so far.
Ladies, you want to be able to know that he respects you beforehand. If you all are genuinely friends and you know when you're genuinely friends with a guy, or if you're concerned with him only thinking of you as a friend, but you actually like him, there's a certain level of respect that comes within that friendship.
It's like when you guys are friends first, you have that respect for each other. So if you do get into a relationship later on, you wouldn't necessarily have those crazy fights that other people who have toxic relationships have because you guys have already established that level of respect for each other. You know how it's kind of like there's just certain things you just wouldn't do to someone because of who they are to you.
You won't go to the extent.
That's a huge one, right? Establishing a level of respect is pretty good. With that. You establish that in the friendship. I think it all also shows up a lot about who you are. You get to really learn this person's character, um, what they value, integrity, in this space of friendship. And there's something huge I want to share in the end too, because I understand that this is definitely a particular topic in today's culture. I definitely want to share something on the end just to kind of give some nuance to the conversation and for you to really be able to make the decision on your own if that's really what you want to do, because there's some things you need to be aware of prior to. But outside of that, I do think the respect factor is huge. You're going to learn a lot about their character, like I mentioned. For somebody to switch up their character because they're not getting something they want shows a huge red flag, in my opinion, humblest opinion, right? Because I don't think that someone's character, how they treat you, how they move towards you, how they love towards you, godly, friendly, romantic, however, shouldn't be dependent on what you give to them, right? Now, this doesn't mean that this person just accepts being walked all over, being used and mistreated. Rather, if that person responds that way, we know that they probably just aren't the right person that we need to be with anyway. And it doesn't have to be something that causes our identity to shift. And for us to then say, well, I guess I'm just going to start being the bad boy because me being kind only gets me mistreated. Where in reality, it's possible that you were just messing with the wrong person. And maybe you didn't do as great of due diligence as maybe you thought you did, just something to consider regarding the process on choosing this person to then say it makes sense to move forward. There's a lot of learning that you do when you meet somebody. This is a whole different human being. Okay. Like, I don't think we take into consideration how much of a process that is. And it's not a process that you'll complete prior to entering into any relationship with somebody. If it's romantic, it makes it all the way to marriage. That's amazing stuff. Guess what? You're still learning that person, because the person you marry at age 20 something isn't going to be the same person you know at age 30 something, because there's growth, there's elaboration, right? There's a room and capacity for this person to become something more of themselves in the relationship they have with God, so on and so forth. And you're changing as well. You're growing for the better as well. So there's so much nuance and flexibility, compromise, vulnerability that you have to take into consideration within the relationships you create, you carry, even in a space of venturing out to romantic spaces, and even if it's simply platonic and platonic alone. And so respect is a huge thing. I love that. Let's keep listening.
Of dogging someone that you genuinely have respect for.
Yeah,
If
like
you come to a point where you can't deal with something anymore, or things get hard, or y'all get in an argument, you won't take it to that level of disrespect. That
yeah,
was the key.
yeah.
Another key factor that needs
That's
to
a
be
good
taken
one.
into consideration, probably one of the most important factors.
It's true, man. I think, again, just one last thought before they move into this last part. um it is really important too that you grasp that, like, if I really honor you and value you, it's not to say that we won't have disagreements, but I do think that there is a length that I am just going to be unwilling to go, because I understand that it's not worth it in this argument, conversation, disagreement that we're having. Like, coming to blows and calling you out of your name, those kinds of things that we have genuinely not only discussed, but we just understand. It doesn't even have to be explained in some cases. Like, we just get it. Like, this is a no, this can't happen. This is not okay. We set those boundaries, right? And we abide by them, we move by them, we have conversations about them. But to go out of my way to harm you with my word or deed shows and says a lot. And I think that's something to keep in mind, right? Regarding the respect foundation that you're trying to create with said person, specifically to this question prior to creating a romantic relationship, if that is something that's available and discussed between the two.
Is have things in common.
Yeah.
Too many times
Well, yeah,
people get in relationships because it's like, oh, dang, bro, she bad. Or you like, oh, girl, he cute. I mean, looks can only go so far. It's possible to look cute and still be ugly as hell.
ah, he said it, not me. Beauty is deeper than skin, y'all. Beauty is deeper than skin, man. There are some bad 10 out of 10 people in this life that their hearts are so ugly you don't want nothing to do with them. So we're talking about who they are, not just what they look like. We're talking about what their heart is and not just how they dress, right? The ugliness ain't cute. It's just not cute. So yeah, it's definitely deeper than skin deep, and I love that perspective.
It's possible. Trust me.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
We
Sainted.
mean, like not necessarily just, like on the outer aspect, but have these in common as far as like life goals.
Bada boom.
You guys want to make sure that you actually have those like down the line, 20 and 30 years from now. What do you want to be doing when we're older?
Elder, gray hair. I got my first gray
People
hair.
get mad when like they say old. Oh, well, what is old? What age is old? I want to spend like
Elders. You can shout out to the elders watching.
later on in life. What do you guys want to be doing? Do those goals match? Does his goals match your goals? Do her goals match your goals? You know what I mean?
It all comes into play.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to make sure that those like life goals line up. Because if not, what's going to happen?
And it's not even necessarily saying you all have to have the same career goals. Of course, I mean, the likelihood of two people having the same careers. Oh, I want to go to medical school. Oh, I want to go to medical school. Okay, we're saying as far as establishing morals, as far as establishing not necessarily where you want to live and stuff like that, what kind of cars you want and stuff like that, but just more so, what do you want out of life?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of person do you want to share your life with?
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you come to that level of understanding, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, so I think this is pretty much it in terms of this video. I was waiting on a specific word, purpose, assignment, direction. Now again, I don't know if these two are believers or not. I don't know them. I came across this video, the second video where they did this, and I just decided to come back to the first one. So this is good. This is good stuff. I don't know where their value systems are. Quite frankly, it's not really my personal concern. What I am looking to use this to share this to you, though, is that it is important that with relationships that you desire to create, whether it's romantically, whether you're pushing it in that direction, there's some foundations that you have to create. You have to be willing to walk through a process to create. There's so many people that are so caught up in friend zone language and friend zone terms and oh, she friend zoned me and all this other kind of stuff. And I just think there's moments in time, man, to slow down and really, first of all, like, what is friend zoning? Okay, I know that that sounds like a really, really silly question, but in reality, man, I think what we're trying to get at is, man, we just have to get to a place of understanding how people navigate, how people move, and why people do what they do. I have understood just from my short time of living that a lot of women navigate in a manner of wanting friendship first, and I think that's okay. And I think that bothers a lot of men because men just want to get to the doing. Men just want to get to the labeling, the kissing, the hugging, the cuddling up. The men want to get to the status change. The men want to get to all these other different things that culture has included in the dating process. When in reality, man, there's some emphasis and some necessity to slow down, and to partake in a friendship and building something genuine. All right. When you talk about life goals, as they mentioned towards the end, that's important, yo. Like, where are you going? What's your purpose? What's your direction? What's your vision? Does it align with where I'm going? And do I have the capacity to make room for it? I mean, that's literally what we discuss and talk about on this channel all the time. And so, if you don't have that, if you don't have like-mindedness, equally yoked, if you're not there, man, we are literally wasting each other's time. Because here's what's going to happen is when you don't have that, you're going to get a certain place down the line in the relationship. Let's just say 3 years, 3 years strong. All of a sudden, one of you, if both of you, one of you, find your purpose. You find and learn of your assignment, your calling, and potentially what is being placed in front of you to do. Okay, being in God, being in Christ, you find this. He gives you that, and you learn of it. Cool. That's awesome, in and of its own right. But now it's possible that the relationship that you spent so much time investing into is now going to be rifted because both of you are now going in different directions and your assignments don't necessarily make room for one another, meaning somebody is going to have to sacrifice somewhere. And here's the two problems with it. I guess the two pains that result from being at this position. You're either going to choose to compromise your assignment and direction that God has placed on your life for the sake of the relationship, which is always a no-go and will always lead to more pain in the end. Whereas you are then either second option, suffer and deal with the pain of separating now, because now we see that even though we love each other, we care for each other, we have common goals and perspectives, interests, our assignments don't line up, where we're going don't line up. And so now we're at a position where we have to separate. And you're going to have to deal with the healing and the separation and the breakup and all of that dealing internally that you have to deal with. But on the back end, you will be forever grateful because your calling and assignment, your obedience to God is way more important than the dating relationship and romanticizing that we find ourselves in earthly. So you're going to regardless be in pain in these two scenarios. It just matters the level of pain, maybe the direction of the pain, maybe the long lasting pain, the more worse pain that's available, which is probably forgoing your assignment and staying in the relationship just to compromise who you are and where you're called to be for the sake of being with this person. And it just doesn't work out. And so it's important. Yes, it's 1000 important to get that understanding, know where you guys are going, and learn to create that space. So I love all of that. They also have another video. If you guys want me to react to that, I can. But here's something I really want you to just ponder on and with, because as culturally diverse as maybe this conversation is, I do think it is important that you know what you can and cannot handle. Because here's the truth. Here's the truth about building friendships with the opposite sex and having potential discussions of moving things romantically. Both of us have the opportunity to choose one another. And at the same time, through building a friendship and learning one another, we also have the freedom and opportunity to choose someone else. Now, that might not be something that is too coddly and comforting to your heart, but it is something you need to be aware of, not for the sake of dogging the other person or trying to create some false narrative, but rather understanding that both of us, because of the opportunity and free will to love and what love truly legitimately looks like, which is a choice. I'm choosing this person day in, day out. We have to give that person that same opportunity as we were given too. And so when it comes to building a friendship, you need to know the capacity that you have. Can you legitimately move at a pace and space of just being friends with this person? Can you legitimately be okay if this relationship that is platonic, that is friendship, and that is not at a place of romance never gets to a place of romanticizing and romance and marriage and all those things? Because if you're not okay with that, and you aren't okay and satisfied and being able to build a genuine relationship with this person, getting to know them and being okay with friendship, like I don't think that's something that you should consider doing. Because what's going to happen is you're going to have this secret agenda behind your back where you're going to continue to try to push this towards a certain direction that maybe it just won't get there. And the relationship can be rocky, can be unsettling, and isn't able to be enjoyed in a lot of ways. And so you have to be honest with your agenda. You have to be honest in that, and even go as far as to the point of having that conversation with this person. Okay. Again, on one hand, it's dope. Start out with friendship. That's beautiful. I do believe in genuine friendships being in the midst of marriage. That's there. That actually is one of the loves that make up marriage that we have, that is given to us and created by God and covenant with Him. It is important and it's necessary. I just want you to be willing to address those hard positionings and spaces where, hey, maybe this doesn't go to the place of romance. This doesn't get to a place of romantic relationship and potential marriage. And I need you to be okay with that, because with you not being okay with that, it's a greater possibility that the friendship actually doesn't even make it, because there's a secret agenda behind there, and there's a lot of confusion, there's a lot of unsettling awkwardness, and it just can't be something that's enjoyed presently constructed as a friendship. So this all comes down to communication. This all comes down to talking with that individual. This all comes down to really laying out what you're looking for, what you're wanting, being honest in that space, and giving each other the opportunity to still choose the relationship, the friendship, and to potentially see where things go. I just don't want you to put yourself in a position where you're expecting something that isn't there, because then you'll be swallowed up in frustration and you can't enjoy the friendship for what it is. And somebody somewhere is going to be harming themselves because they are sacrificing something that really maybe shouldn't be sacrificed in that space. And so there's just got to be some clarity, some understanding, some communication, and that's always up to the individuals, you and someone else that you are considering this positioning with. But just be okay with that. And don't expect something that isn't there to happen for you or come your way, because that could be very harming and damaging to the relationship. So yes, I'm a fan of the friendship before dating, building that friendship prior to getting into a romantic, intimate relationship with somebody. I'm a firm believer that friendship is present in marriage, and is necessary. It is necessary. I just want you to get to a place where you're understanding what you're walking into. You have full awareness of that. That's been communicated. There's not unexpected communications that are lying around and waiting to jump on you. And you guys are communicating that and have a clear understanding of where you are, what you have room for, what you're looking for, and if you are in a space in where you have the capacity to move forward in that. Because if you don't, I wouldn't suggest doing that. You know what you want, you know what you're looking for, you know what you like, you know what you have the capacity for. Don't force it if it's not there. Don't force that and think you're going to get something different on the end if it's not there. Because then it's just a lot of pain, and it won't be fun. All right. So I appreciate you guys all so much for tuning into this video. Listen, if you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, turn on the post notifications so you know the next time we're posting. Like this video, share with a friend who also wants to know, is friendship necessary for a romantic relationship, even marriage? I appreciate you guys oh so much for tuning in. And as always, until our next conversation, be easy and be breezy, my friend. Hey, peace.